introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself personally.
Sure. My name is Juan Tuason. I'm the founder and CEO of Paragon Home Care. My experience as a personal caregiver for my family, we took care of my nanny who moved here from the Philippines. Unfortunately, right after moving in, she discovered she had stage 4 breast cancer. So for about 7 years, my wife and I were her primary care providers. Shortly thereafter, my dad was starting to have all kinds of health issues, and it was affecting my mom, who was his primary caregiver. She was
Mm-hmm.
skipping her doctor's appointments and started getting ailments. So we had an intervention, and we agreed, look, we've already taken care of somebody at home. We have two teenagers. We have more arms and legs. Have dad move in with us. Um, so he agreed, and she agreed, and took care of him there for a time being
Time being.
until one day he was a very anti-medicine type of person. He only listened to Dr. Google. He was a chemical engineer, so he knew just enough to be dangerous. Um, but I found a doctor who believed in homeopathic medicine, but also practiced. It was a registered MD, and he said, "Son, I think we need to reschedule. My chest is hurting." And I don't know what it was. I blew up, and I yelled at him and I said, "Dad, you need to go to a nursing home. I'm not qualified to take care of you. If you don't help me take care of you, then I can't do it. I give up." And he said, "No, son, I'm not lying. It really hurts." I said, "All right, I'll call 911," knowing full well that he would never agree to 911 because he hates hospitals. But he said, "Okay." And that's when I said, "Oh boy, he's not playing. Something's wrong." Anyway, fast forward, he went into a coma that night and died in the hospital 10 days
Wow.
later. So my last conversation with him, and he and I were very close,
Mm-hmm.
but my last conversation with him was me threatening to send him to a nursing home. Um, so in my guilt, I went to my parish priest, I'm Catholic, and said, I feel guilty. I need to do penance and I need to apologize to my dad. And so I want to volunteer to bring communion to the homebound elderly. That's my way of apologizing because I knew he loved it when he would get his visits every Sunday. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was the way for me to make amends. I did that for 4 years. I was still working in corporate. It coincided with I worked for Fannie Mae, so it was just about the time when we had a big financial collapse. Fannie Mae was at the
Mm-hmm.
center of that. So I was thinking about what might be next professionally anyway. So I said, let me start looking into possibilities in elder care. And at the same time, when I was bringing communion, I saw caregivers and I said, wow, there's this industry here that I could have taken advantage of where I could have just been a son and not been the caregiver. And maybe I wouldn't have had that experience with my dad if I wasn't trying to be his caregiver as well. So, long story short, 12 years later. And the funny thing is that because I was doing that, I couldn't have done this any better if I tried, because just by pure divine intervention, the fact that I was an extraordinary minister in the community for 4 years, the minute we opened our doors, our phones just rang off the hooks.
Mm-hmm.
And we became very busy and successful right off the bat. So
Mm-hmm.
in a way, my dad was my co-founder and business partner.
I very much appreciate you being willing to share all of that. And I'm sure that in your work now, when you meet families where the spouse is trying to be a loving spouse and a caregiver, or the son, like you were, is trying to be a son and a caregiver, that the support that your organization now provides can help relieve that for people, and maybe bring back some of the core of the relationship. You mentioned earlier a little bit about the importance of what happens between what people think of as the home care tasks, the activities of daily living. Can you talk a little bit about how you think about that and what how that can be most meaningful?
Most people who do this are probably qualified and could be doing something different for a lot more
Hmm.
money. So most of the people in this industry that come into elder care aren't chasing profits. So in general, it's good. The problem is once you start taking care of people, you're in a reactive mode. You're
Hmm.
constantly answering the phone because somebody fell or a caregiver is out sick. So it's very hard to innovate and improve. What our focus is on the answer to that question for us is really focusing our caregivers not just on improving their skill set and their knowledge about different conditions and whether it's dementia or Parkinson's or stroke or others, but it's really focusing them on how are they spending the time in between the activities of daily living.
Hmm.
Every caregiver can transfer someone from bed to wheelchair safely because they have to get certified and trained. Everybody's good at reminding people to take their medications and doing all the things that home care agencies do. But what's lacking a lot is the focus to our staff and to our team members to say that's the minimum bar that you're expected to meet. What we require is that you're actually doing the care that's in between those tasks, which is human connection. It's turning the TV off, turning your cell phone off, and sitting
Hmm.
there while your client is having a meal and having a conversation, because that's
Hmm.
when the human connection begins. And I think that's where the difference will be between good care and exceptional. So that's our North Star right now.
And it sounds like you do have the flexibility of starting with the scope that the person feels they need at that point in time, and then adjusting as their preferences change and as they get more comfortable with who it is that's coming to help them out.
Exactly. It's our services are tailored to what, I never want my goal is not to charge somebody for hours that they don't need.
Hmm.
That's not how you stay in business. That's not how you grow in
Hmm.
business. You have to be adding value. And so I'm always conscious, we're always conscious of making sure that, we've had many clients where we say, there's really, if your mom's falling asleep at 6 now because of a medication change and she sleeps through the night, that's probably an
Hmm.
unrealistic example. But if those examples happen, we'll adjust and say, okay, well, let's cut the
Hmm.
hours. Um, that's how you build trust and that's how you build a
Yeah.
long-term. Sadly, we just had our longest 12-year client that we took care of for 12 years just passed away this week, so it's fresh in my mind. But that's how you keep clients that long
Hmm.
is you're there to provide value and
Yeah.
and assistance and not to try and maximize the hours.
Well, I think it's incredible that you're involved not only in running your company, but also have been leading a village and have been on a commission on aging through the county and have been involved in so many ways through your own faith community, and just thinking about what we can do to improve aging for all of us in the places that we want to stay for as long as we can. So thank you again for the work that you do, and we are very excited to be partnering with you to launch in Arlington County to offer new social activities and opportunities just to stay connected with others. So, super excited for what this year will be.
I'm
Um,
excited about this partnership, and as you know, that to me is the one thing that home care does not deliver to our clients.
mhm.
We don't have an activities director like an assisted living
Mhm.
facility does. We don't have a nice theater or ballroom where we can have activities for our clients. They're still at home. They're still isolated.
Mhm.
They might have a caregiver there for a few hours a day, but that's the extent of it. So this
Yeah.
partnership I see as our way of trying to give more to our clients to be able and community in general to be able to help with that isolation and
Yeah.
engagement that doesn't normally come with a home care service.
Yeah. I think it'll be a great collaboration.